Hello, this is Brother Kenneth here in the Art of the Deals, and this one a rather disturbing topic, and that is the infiltration of the Satanic Church into the Catholic Church. And I mean by that, I mean Roman Catholic Church, the FSSP in particular. First off, Satanists, and there's key ones, it's not everybody. There are going to be people who are going to be in the parish and mingling and everything like that, just so they can have access to communion. And of course, you know the modern Mass, where you actually put it in your hand. The problem in the past with Satanism was they had to do a sleight of hand very quickly to get the host so it doesn't touch the tongue and get contaminated. Somehow or another, they need it in its purest form in order to carry out their rituals of desecrating it ritualistically. And since they've been able to put it into their hand, it's a lot easier to cover up and conceal it and then take off with it. They can walk right in during communion and walk right out. They don't have to stay for the Mass. And all they have to do is just dress like a regular church lady or a church guy. You know, the Pat Boone haircut and whatever, and a suit. You know, I'm not going to come in there dressed like Ozzy Osbourne fans or anything like that with a T-shirt and leather and a spike collar. So get all that out of your head. So as we understand this is going to be a problem, it's a matter of how many times is this going to be going on and what parishes. Well, you know, okay, we have like a 250,000 population in here. How much is the Satanic Church going to be active that you need more hosts, and they're going to put plants in just about every church? Let me give you an example. Where we used to live, we ran into a satanic case. Some parts I'm going to leave out because it's they're like mafia when they get to that level, where they're infiltrated the police and everything, and there was satanic ritual abuse involved with this, just it exists. So, I mean, this activism is another thing in itself, but the outright attempts to steal hosts for ritual abuse is another thing altogether. But you're going to find that they're going to, purposely dispatch. They don't operate by themselves. You know, there's a hierarchy there. In other words, you're just not some fan. You might try to do stuff if you ran into the wrong occult books and you're going to try to dabble. There's dabblers out there for the cult of all sorts. Just like there is in this work that we do. There's people pretending to be exorcists and so forth, spiritual warfare. It's not as flashy of a topic, so they always like to call themselves exorcists. And that's a kind of warning flag there. So the certain members of the cult, at some certain point, all Satanists can do it when you've been initiated to a certain phase. I'm not going to give the gory details of this, but they can actually tell when a host is consecrated or not. Who knows how they see it exactly from a distance? They have to get right on top of it to see the glow, an aura, which we know is scientifically proven that things have an aura around them. They've been able to get this on the Curling cameras, for example. So they know to take this host so they don't make a false, they don't grab one and it's not consecrated. You know, imagine it could happen. What if they mix out a batch of new with the stuff that's been consecrated? Okay, so this is nothing new. They do this behind the scenes for a long time. It's interesting that some of these self-proclaimed ex-Satanists don't talk about this at all. It tells you what there's people out there who are faking it. And might, in the least, if they're not con men and ripping out people to tell a gory lecture, you know, just for the sensationalism of the story of being a high person in the Satanic Church for supposedly X amount of years and having done all of these abortions, for example, is that they don't reveal anything about Satanism they can learn, not even some SRA helpline. I mean, what level are they doing this stuff? They might be infiltrating your church to bring it down, especially the FSSP, which I suspect there is somebody who's going and speaking in all these places who's either a con man because he reveals nothing about Satanism, absolutely nothing of any use. All he does is he just tells the gory details, as I said, kind of promoting a morbid curiosity for the purpose of entertainment, and then throws a little tidbit. You know, no preventative stuff's how to spot Satanism in your church. Back in a place where I used to live where this big ring was working, and they had this big network, you know, and they travel drugs and everything. That's what I mean. That's pretty nasty. And I knew what church they were at. The grandparents, they were at a church that I was going to also. And in the church yearbook, their pictures were in there. Right there, just a cute little old man and old lady. Yep, they were generational Satanists because the generation came down 2 orders. So that's kind of like how we got involved with it on that level too. But we actually wrote some people and contacted people to try to figure out how to do this because a lot of people were being affected. It was really nasty. I want to tell that story another time without revealing names on that. But this is just something you got to look for. How would you find these? Some people might have that kind of mystic gift, I don't know. It would be wonderful if we could just have somebody, you can bring them in there and they can actually spot the cloud, the black cloud, around or about the person or persons who are actually Satanists and they're there for no good reason. Remember, they can participate. See, when you're actively and you're not possessed per se. Possession means when they take control of your body. If you're cooperating, they don't need to do that. So they can participate in all this stuff. That's how they can go up there and even get so far where they touch the host without going into convulsions. Remember, the demons acting, they have to give you, basically you have a stronger demon in you when you're at that level of Satanism that's not going to lose control in that fashion. It can suck it up. And when the exorcist goes before a person who's possessed and it has a higher level, what would you call it, rank, and sometimes we call them doubles, lower level ones can't suck it up very good. So I imagine that what's really happening there is they have a higher demon. Since they cooperate with everything, the demon doesn't need to take over. So they can go in there, they can even tell their confession, they can totally fool everybody for a long time, and they do. Like I said, they were in that parish, those two elderly people. How to spot them? Like I said, I wish it was a way to spot them, and you can pray for that these things don't infiltrate your church. Because like I said, if you get a guy who goes there and lectures and he does spells on the place and stuff, don't expect everything in the church to be impervious. How can Satan, enter the Vatican or something like that? He hasn't taken it down. Masses are still going on. Jesus said that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. But so that's just that's the warning. And don't start getting all paranoid and stuff like that. I wish people would, pray for your priests, the targets of these kind of things, and pray for your church so that it does not get infiltrated, and do it daily. And don't expect that if you're FSSP or even SSPX, don't expect it not to have already been infiltrated. You probably had a Satanist come in there a few times already and stole the Eucharist. They might even gravitate to that one more to steal the Eucharist. But the Eucharist is just as Father Chad says, and we found it to be true also, from being in the field a long time, is that it doesn't matter where the Eucharist is done in the communion rite, that it's still the same potency. It's still Jesus. There isn't no lesser Jesus and more Jesus. Okay, so much for that. Here goes another warning about Satanism again, but be aware, keep your eyes open, okay? And if you see someone come in, with a little bit of hair and doesn't look like Pat Boone, that's probably not them. They're not going to look like Zachary the Gray or something with a big long beard and long hair. They're not going to do that. They're going to blend right in. They'll have a Pat Boone look, and they can have charismatic spells and stuff, so that you'll just be like, wow, what a good-looking gal or something like that. People will totally overlook the fact she's satanic, or he is. So don't think you're going to regular discernment is going to be able to pick them out, because even the saints had difficulty seeing good from bad. Padre Pio actually saw a black aura, black kind of a covering around someone who was coming to kill him with a knife. And he was able to get him subdued by reporting that he saw the guy walking towards him in the crowd, but it's because he saw a black aura around him. So some saintly, pious people living now who aren't necessarily still struggling with their sins may not even be as saintly as Padre Pio might be able to do that at some level. And I hope that the parishes listen on this stuff instead of hearing that, oh, they're one of our biggest donators and they volunteer and all. Don't go by that at all. I don't care what they volunteer for. So, there we go again. Don't be naive. Got to be a little patronizing here. It's not what you think it is. It's not. Everything doesn't look the same as what they're really like. It's not going to be revealed to you. Even if you kind of consider yourself a sensitive or, a mystic or something like that, don't think you got it all figured out. Okay? All right, God bless everybody. For the Art of the Deals, I am Brother Kenneth saying good night, and I'll see you next time, or rather you'll see me. Take care.